Apparently, Jared Goff still has some beef with the local media.
You are Locked On Lions, your daily Detroit Lions podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's happening, everybody? What's good? It's a Wednesday edition of Locked On Lions right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. It's Wednesday, April 10th and Thursday, April 11th. Thanks for making us your first listen and checking us out wherever you get your podcast. And that includes on our Locked On Lions YouTube channel. Please subscribe and check us out each and every day on Locked On Lions and on the YouTube channel. Plus, speaking of everydayers, got to give some love to our man, the great Henry Steed. Henry is a 10-year-old Lions fan, just turned double digits, loves the Lions. He knows more about the Lions than any of us. All right, so shout out to Henry. Happy birthday, brother. Hope you enjoyed your Buffalo Wild Wings dinner last night. Follow us on Twitter at Dery Speaks, at Locked On Lions, Matt Dery Facebook fan page, on Threads at The Real Matt Dery, and again, as I mentioned, on our Locked On Lions YouTube channel. We always appreciate all of you checking us out wherever you get your podcasts. Coming up on the show today, we talked about Jared Goff yesterday, and I said, pay the man. He could be getting $50 million a year, and probably with the new contracts coming for Tua and Dak, Kyler Murray making $46 million, Goff might be getting $50 million, and quite honestly, he deserves it based off of what he's done as quarterback of this franchise the last 2 years. Well, the Wilbo's Trading Card podcast with some of Goff's former teammates at Cal came out today. And Goff he doesn't go off on the local media, but we're going to play this clip. He's not real fond of the negativity from the Lion beat writers, apparently. We will play that clip and respond to that coming up momentarily. Also, today, Mel Kiper Jr.'s latest mock draft, a 2-round mock from ESPN. We'll get into that. And there is a major trend with the Lions 30 visits that they get, that they're using, because it just seems like there's one position group that is above all the rest for the Lions 30 visits, including one today in Allen Park that we will tell you about coming up right here on Locked On Lions. Shout out again to our everydayers that are out there. Thanks for making us your first listen. Tomorrow will mark the 2-week point until the draft. April 25th through the 27th, Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday all day, downtown in Detroit. This town's going to be jumping. It's going to be a lot of fun. Lions, of course, don't pick until 29 and then 61 on Friday. So it's not like the old days. The Lions are always picking in the top 10 because they've been so good and made such a nice run here over the last 2 years. But of course, last year's run to the NFC Championship game, they will not be picking until the end of the first round at number 29. All right. We know this about Jared Goff, right? A little bit of a chip on his shoulder, right? A little bit of a mean streak sometimes. You watch Jared Goff at the media, he's usually pretty good, answers questions, never turns anybody down. But there are some times that he does get a little bit salty with reporters, does get a little bit snippy. You recall the exchange he had before the NFC Championship game down in Allen Park when Wojo, Bob Winowski, of course, from the Ticket and the Detroit News, asked him about all the superstars that the 49ers have. And Goff sort of responded with, well, what about the stars that we have? St. Brown's first team All-Pro. Penei Sewell's a pro, All-Pro. What about Laporta? And it was a playful back and forth. But Goff has been interviewed before and has said that he doesn't really feel like the treatment of the team and him is always fair here in Detroit. So he goes on this Wilbo's Trading Card podcast with some of his Cal guys and kind of takes a little bit of a shot at the beat writers and at the folks that cover the team. I want you to take a listen to this audio. Again, Wilbo's Trading Card podcast right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. This is a Jared Goff. Let me get this queued up here. This is a Jared Goff on the newest installment of this podcast. And of course, I lost it just as I was getting it fired up. And hang on, I'm going to get it right now. Here we go.
This, I probably need to drop it pretty soon here because I'm going to hopefully be in Detroit for a long time. But I have this thing with our local media where they almost relish in negativity at times. And maybe that's what gets clicks and that's what sells. But it's no longer what they need to live in. Like, hey guys, like we have a good team. We've had success. Like, we can be happy about that. We can celebrate that and not have to write about how like we're constantly the underdog. Like, no, like teams are going to be gunning for us now. Like we won the division and all that. And I'm probably overthinking it in my head just because it's the chip on my shoulder and the competitor in me. But in that moment, I was just giving that guy a hard time. I actually really like him, but
I think that's great.
All right, so there's Jared Goff admitting he's got a chip on his shoulder. And look, Jared Goff was kicked to the curb by the Rams. Jared Goff was sent to Detroit from Los Angeles. All right, beautiful sunny LA. Sent to Detroit. Siberia, basically, for NFL players. The Lions have had a brutal history. He was sent to a franchise that had just gotten rid of Matt Patricia and Bob Quinn and hired what people were calling a block-headed coach and a meathead and some general manager that nobody really had ever heard of. It was a franchise that was at its low point, if you want to call it that, because Patricia and Quinn poisoned the water so bad. And that's even lower than when they went 0-16. All right. Matthew Stafford came into LA and everybody said, this is great. This is exactly what we need here in LA to win the Super Bowl. Oh, that number one pick we used to have, he's trash. Jared Goff heard all of that. Right. The first year they won 3 games and he wasn't very good. And people said, the Lions got to draft a quarterback. Remember the Malik Willis stands? Oh, Malik this, Malik that, Malik to Detroit. Lions take Malik Willis. Whee! Remember that? Number 2. Remember that? There were people that said the Lions should take Malik Willis, number 2, over Aiden Hutchinson. Jared Goff heard all of that. So I get it. But now to still 3 years in, still be saying, there's this negativity streak in Detroit. And, some of these writers always looking for the negative. Who? In this town? You want to talk about people that are negative? Mike Valenti comes to mind. Sure. Carlos Monterez from the Free Press. But the beat writers? Wojo? Come on. You want negative? Go to Philly. Go to New York. Read Greg Doyle in the Indianapolis Star. I think the columnists here in Detroit are pretty easy on the teams and the players. This is not a tough town. I think the beat writers here are the best group of beat writers of any sport in this market. Dave and Justin and Kyle and Ben and Colton and everybody that covers the team. And I'm missing people. They're pretty they're pretty fair. And I think pretty balanced. I think they do a good job. And when they need to throw some arrows, they do. But I like that. But Detroit isn't some tough sports town. Oh, geez, the beat writers are after us. I don't see that. Jared Goff deserved to get ripped, and he did. Kyle Meinke wrote a pretty tough piece in MLive years ago about Goff during his first year, but they had won 3 games and Jared wasn't good. So still and he even said, maybe I need to get past this. Maybe I need to get rid of this now. But I think everybody has been on the Lions bandwagon. I think the media here has been great. Does anybody watch how the local media fawns over Greg Campy? Come on. This is not a tough media town. So I think Jared does need to dial it back. And I think he kind of admits it in that clip. It might be time for him to get over it. And he said he likes Wojo and that was, it wasn't anything personal. But I'm a little bit surprised that he's still riding that train a little bit about the negativity here when this team was adored by the fans, was lauded by the writers. There were positive columns coming from Carlos at the Free Press. Come on now. Do you agree? Do you think that the writers here are too negative? I don't. I think everybody here knows the Lions are really good. And Jared Goff, is there anybody writing a piece that they shouldn't give Jared Goff his money? No. There's nobody writing, we need Hendon Hooker columns around here. Jared Goff's the guy. He's earned the right to get a big deal. So, all right, Mel Kiper's 2-round mock draft. We will do that coming up next right here on a Wednesday. Locked On Lions. But first, we got to tell you about our friends at PrizePicks, daily fantasy that is the best there is. It is so much fun. All right. PrizePicks is America's #1 fantasy sports app because there's over 3 million members. It's the easiest, most exciting way to get in on the action while you watch your favorite sports and players, whether it's NBA, NHL, MLB now. You can do it all. What you do is you just pick more than or less than on 2 or more player stats and watch the winnings roll in. All right. Don't miss your chance to add your favorite players from the diamond in your PrizePicks entries. That's right, MLB, whether it's strikeouts, RBIs, or first inning runs. Take your pick of more or less than and add them to your PrizePicks entry. Get in on the playoff action for hoops, right? Win 100 times your money. Playoffs begin April 20th. Play-in games April 16th, 17th, and 19th. All right. PrizePicks also offers weekly promotions and special offers. So the biggest moments in sports. PrizePicks also offers Apple Pay for quick and easy deposits into your account, which is easy for this basketball season as we get down to the playoffs coming up. Do me a favor. Download the PrizePicks app today and use the code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. Again, the code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100 with our friends at PrizePicks. All right, folks, here we go. Mel Kiper Jr. today from ESPN, draft expert, draft guru, draft legend, whatever you want to call him. His 2-round mock draft came out today. Now, we've been doing mocks, and we talk about mocks all the time, and Mock Draft Monday yesterday. But there's a very intriguing player that he has the Lions taking at number 61 that I have not seen anybody talk about for Detroit in terms of a mock draft. So we will get to that in a second. But first and foremost, at number 29, Mel Kiper Jr. selects for the Lions A.D. Mitchell, the wide receiver from Texas. Now, there have been plenty of mock drafts that do not believe that Mitchell will be there at 29 for Detroit. We've talked about A.D. a lot. Big body, speed, high points of football as good as anybody in this draft. Really, really good wide receiver. Kiper writes today, quote, Detroit general manager Brad Holmes had a tremendous 2023 draft class, which featured impact contributions from tight end Sam Laporta, running back Jahmyr Gibbs, defensive back Brian Branch, and linebacker Jack Campbell. Can he do it again? Looking at this Lions roster, there aren't many holes to fill. I could make the case for them taking a depth interior offensive lineman, which we talked about, an edge rusher, or a corner. But receiver also stands out, particularly one who could run vertical routes and play on the other side of Jameson Williams. At 6'2", the talented wideout recorded an impressive 40-yard dash time at the scouting combine. While wideout may not be an area of need, the team has the ability to select an offensive skill player early in the draft due to the upgrades made to the defense in free agency. That is from Mel Kiper Jr. Yes, A.D. Mitchell is a tremendous, tremendous football player. Thing about Adonai Mitchell is, like, he doesn't have the speed of his teammate Xavier Worthy from Texas, and there are some questions about how fast he really is. But if you go on YouTube and you really start watching the film and you watch the tape, every route he ran, playing with Ewers and those guys down in Texas, everything was deep. Everything was go. And you throw the ball up and he goes and gets it. And if there's one aspect of the Lions game that they don't really do much of, it's that. All right. Jared Goff found a nice chemistry with Jameson Williams at time during the season. Other times, J-Mo had a hard time finding the football up in the sky. J-Mo's about to enter year 3. It is put up or shut up time for him. Have we seen glimpses of special? Yes. We've seen him on reverses, take it to the house and go, oh man, look at that speed. All right. But I'm still not sold that Jameson Williams is going to be a number 1 receiver in this league. We know Amon-Ra St. Brown is. A.D. Mitchell is a guy that if he's there at 29, absolutely, I could see the Lions taking him because he offers that size and speed on the outside to go with J-Mo, to go with Amon-Ra, that I think would serve the Lions some good. Detroit also right now is looking to replace Josh Reynolds. They have not done that yet. Donovan Peoples-Jones is back. Antoine Green, a 7th-round pick from last year, back. Right? They've got some depth pieces with Khalif Raymond Tom Kennedy, the legend, TK85. They've got him back. But here's a player that I think could make this offense even more special. So A.D. Mitchell getting some love from Mel Kiper at number 29. Again, 40-yard dash was good, 4.34, but if you read some of the others, and Dane Brugler points this out in his draft guide at The Athletic, there are times that you watch Mitchell and you worry if there's enough speed. Yet 4.34 at the combine was very, very good. The second pick that Mel Kiper has the Lions taking again in a 2-round mock draft, and this is one that I have not seen before, but I've watched this guy play because he plays in the Big Ten. And of course, we're in Big Ten country, is Adisa Isaac, the edge rusher and sort of hybrid edge / linebacker out of Penn State. Certainly, the guy everybody talks about when you're getting to the quarterback at PSU was Chop Robinson, who had double-digit sacks this past year, and also could be an option for Detroit at 29. But Adisa Isaac does everything really well. He rushes the passer. They drop him in coverage a ton. He's a good tackler. There was a play on J.J. McCarthy this year in the first half when Michigan played Penn State. J.J. rolled left, and Mitchell just cut him down. Or I should say Adisa Isaac just cut him down. Kiper writes, quote, Isaac was overshadowed a bit by Chop Robinson, but he actually outproduced his teammate last season, racking up 7.5 sacks. He's not as explosive as Robinson, but he's a well-rounded defender who has an impressive get-off at the snap. At 247 pounds, or Kiper writes, at 247 pounds, he could play in the edge rushing rotation in Detroit, which needs to get more out of its pass rushers, not named Aiden Hutchinson. Isaac last year had 33 pressures, and PFF had him at a 73 pass rush grade last season. I would welcome this in a heartbeat. My biggest issue is with Adisa Isaac is he might be James Houston. I think he's a better player than James Houston in terms of playing the pass and playing the run, but they look very similar. You look at James Houston, you go, guy looks like a safety at times. He doesn't look like a edge rusher. Isaac's the same way. He's under 250 pounds, but yet he gets home, 7.5 sacks. He does a lot of things very well. And maybe you put him all over the field in Aaron Glenn's defense and let him rock. Remember, Derek Barnes, who also was out of Penn State, Purdue, but similar kind of player. Barnes is bulked up. Isaac sort of has that JOK look to him from the Browns, a little bit, but bigger. JOK is like a hybrid linebacker safety. Isaac's like a hybrid edge outside linebacker. But Adisa Isaac's a really good football player. I just have not seen him mocked to the Lions. This is the first. But in this mock draft, if you come out of this draft with, it seems like I always say this, A.D. Mitchell at 29 and Isaac at 61, kid from Texas, kid from Penn State. They've played in big games. They've played in big-time conferences. I wouldn't have an issue with that at all. Lions need another edge rusher. All right, what if Marcus Davenport gets hurt again? All right, Marcus Davenport every year is, he's on the DJ Khaled plan. Another one. Injury, another one. He can't stay healthy. The Lions like him a lot, gave him $6.5 million a year, and they feel like if he is healthy and he's on a 1-year deal, he'll be the guy opposite of Hutch. But if you bring in Isaac, I like it. Kaminsky was a bit of a bust this past year. James Houston was not healthy. Finally got back. You can count on him, you'd hope, this year. The Oquaras are gone. Charles Harris is gone. So there is that need to add another edge. And Isaac would be interesting, certainly, at number 61. All right, you want to talk about adding cornerbacks? I would think Brad Holmes is going to do it at some point because it's corner central in Allen Park. Every single top 30 visit for the Lions, well, not everyone, but they're just a lot of cornerbacks. We'll explain coming up next right here on Locked On Lions. Hey, folks, passion, drive, and patience, the formula for winning championships, is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit. Only available to U.S. customers. All right, so we've been telling you about the top 30 visits that the Lions, every team gets 30 visits. They can bring in college players. And of course, the Lions brought in a CFL player who had college eligibility, but whatever. And he's draft eligible. 30 draft eligible players every team gets. They get visits where these players can come into Detroit and work out down at 222 Rodwood Drive. So today, the Lions entertained Terrion Arnold, the very, very fine cornerback from Alabama. I mentioned Dane Brugler before from The Athletic. I was on his draft guide today. He's got Arnold as his number one corner. Some have Quinyon Mitchell from Toledo. We could argue that all day. The bottom line is this. The Lions have had 7 guys in that have been reported for top 30 visits so far. 5 of the 7 have been cornerbacks. Terrion Arnold, Kool-Aid McKinstry, Quintez Stiggers, the kid from the CFL, Nehemiah Pritchett from Auburn, and Andrew Phillips from Kentucky. Sione Vaki from Utah is a safety. 7 visits, 6 defensive backs, 5 cornerbacks. Now, will Terrion Arnold be there at 29? No way. But what's interesting is the Lions want to take a look at him. Because if they feel like they love him, would they move up to go get him? They would have to. Right? Nate Wiggins is ahead of him. Cooper DeJean, you would argue, is behind him, excuse me. Rakestraw, Wiggins, Mitchell, Arnold, Kool-Aid, all these guys are first rounders. But many feel like Arnold is the best of the class. And a guy that can really, really cover people. All right. You talk about Kool-Aid and you say, well, he didn't have such a good year. That Terrion Arnold has been good every year at Bama. And most argue it's either him or Mitchell as the number one corner in this draft. Some have said Wiggins. I've seen Rakestraw as kind of 4-5. DeJean, I could see at 29. I don't see a way that Terrion Arnold is going to be there at 29. But again, Lions could move up. Arnold could slide. I don't see that happening, but really, really good football player. But what is interesting is Brad Holmes made it a point at the owners' meetings to say there really isn't a desperation for us at cornerback right now because they've got Carlton Davis. They've got Amik Robertson. They're bringing back Emmanuel Mosley. They brought back Khalil Dorsey. They've got Stephen Gilmore. The Lions have a plethora. Kendall Vildor is back. The Lions have bodies. Brian Branch, of course. But you got a special talent or a guy that is high on your board. We've seen this with Brad Holmes. Doesn't matter about need. If he thinks Terrion Arnold is the best player in this draft, or if he has a top 5 grade on him, and all of a sudden Arnold sneaks to 15, 16, Brad Holmes might go, screw it. We're moving up. We're going to get him. You know, he's done that before. He did that with Jamison Williams a few years ago. Right? Everybody thought he reached for Jahmyr Gibbs last year at 12. Took him. So keep an eye on that. I do find it interesting that with all the corners the Lions have brought back or added, including Robertson in free agency, Mosley in free agency, or re-sign, and also trading for Carlton Davis, yet 5 of the 7 players that have been into Allen Park are all cornerbacks. I think Kool-Aid is more realistic at 29 than Arnold. But you never know. You never know what Brad Holmes is thinking, certainly on a draft night as well. So we'll have to wait and see on that. Thanks for making us your first listen, checking us out wherever you get your podcast right here on Locked On Lions. Again, if you don't watch it and you have YouTube and you watch videos on YouTube, check us out on our YouTube channel, subscribe, join the fun. All the commenters are on there. Everybody's been awesome. I appreciate everybody checking us out wherever you get your podcasts right here on Locked On Lions. Again, this is exciting. Hey, the Detroit sign is up on I-94. Seen a lot of bad memes about it. I've got to go to myself on the 9-fo and drive by the new Detroit sign that is going to be there. So for everybody that is coming from the airport and heading downtown for this draft, they will see this Hollywood-like Detroit sign. I've only seen bad pictures so far, but I need to go out there and look at it for myself. So thanks for checking us out, everybody. If you missed Adam Schefter from Monday's show, go back and find it. He was right here on Locked On Lions. We appreciate Adam for joining us. This has been a Wednesday edition of Locked On Lions. We are back again tomorrow.